That cup of tea you are holding right now, the one steaming gently beside you, the ritual that has structured your mornings and your evenings for as long as you can remember. It might contain billions of microplastic particles released by the very bag it was brewed in. It might carry pesticide residues from industrial plantations where chemicals banned by the European Union are still applied without restriction. It might have been bleached with chlorine compounds that dissolve directly into your drink, while the packaging assures you it is pure and natural. I spent months investigating the tea brands sitting on shelves at Tesco, Sainsbury's, ESDA, and every corner shop across the United Kingdom. What I found will fundamentally change what you reach for in that kitchen cupboard tomorrow morning. What makes this investigation feel so personally urgent is the place tea holds in British life. No nation on earth has the relationship with tea that Britain does. It is not simply a beverage. Tea is the first thing offered after bad news. It is the quiet ceremony at the start of every day. It is how strangers show kindness and how families stay connected across generations. It is British identity in a cup. And the corporations selling you that identity have been exploiting that emotional trust for decades, relying on the fact that nobody questions what is inside the box they have always bought. Some of these brands pack their bags with polypropylene plastic that releases billions of microplastic particles into every brew the moment you pour boiling water. Particles so small they cross cell walls and have been detected in human blood, brain tissue, and the placentas of unborn babies. Others source their leaves from industrial plantations saturated with chemicals that British regulations can never fully catch because the contamination happens thousands of miles away. Others bleach their bags with chlorine while calling themselves natural and pure. In the next 20 minutes, I am going to count down 7 tea brands you need to remove from your kitchen today. Not this weekend, today. By the end, you will know exactly what is inside those familiar boxes, what it has been doing to your body over years of daily cups, and which 2 brands you can actually trust with your family's health. Stay with me until the very end because the 2 safe alternatives I will reveal should genuinely surprise you. And drop a comment right now telling me which brand is sitting in your cupboard. Let us see how many of you are drinking from this list without knowing it. At number 7, we begin with the budget aisle. Tesco Everyday Value Tea, Asda Smart Price, Morrison's Savers. Whatever your supermarket calls its cheapest option, the price point looks like household intelligence. Under £1 for 80 bags. For families watching every penny, that feels essential. But here is the question nobody standing in the tea aisle ever stops to ask. How is it mathematically possible to grow tea leaves in Kenya or Sri Lanka? Pick them by hand, dry them, process them, pack them, ship them to Britain, distribute them nationally, box them, and sell them for under a penny per bag while the supermarket still takes its margin and everyone in the supply chain still profits? The mathematics of that price only function if something is being radically compromised. And what is being compromised is the quality of the leaf, the conditions in which it was grown, and the quantity of chemical treatment applied to keep low-grade leaves viable through poor soil conditions and the long journey to your mug. Budget supermarket teas draw from the very lowest tier of the global commodity tea market. These are leaves rejected by brands that already set low standards. Leaves from the most chemically intensive growing operations, where pesticides are applied at maximum frequency to compensate for exhausted soil and substandard agricultural practice. Independent testing of supermarket-owned brand teas consistently reveals multiple pesticide residues. And the bags, naturally, contain plastic, releasing microplastics into every cup you brew. For pensioners on fixed incomes who choose this tea because the price feels manageable, the real cost is being paid somewhere else entirely. Your receipt says under £1. Your body is receiving a bill that does not appear on any label in any shop. Coming in at number 6, Yorkshire Tea. Now this is where this investigation becomes genuinely uncomfortable, because Yorkshire tea has spent years carefully constructing a reputation as the straightforward, no-nonsense, honest British choice. Tailors of Harrogate have invested in some ethical sourcing initiatives, and that deserves honest acknowledgement. But here is what the reassuring Yorkshire warmth does not put prominently on the box. Their standard bags contain polypropylene. When you pour boiling water over a Yorkshire tea bag, you release microplastics into your cup. The same fundamental plastic problem affecting the biggest names on this list is present here. And the brand has been signalling intentions around plastic-free bags for years without delivering a complete transition. Intentions and delivery remain different things, and the gap between them is filled by billions of plastic particles in British cups every single day. Yorkshire tea also sources from conventional, non-organic plantations. Their Rainforest Alliance certification signals improved farming practices relative to uncertified operations. But certification and clean independent laboratory testing are not the same thing. The brand's transparency about what pesticide residues, if any, exist in those leaves is far more limited than the warmth of their marketing would suggest. For anyone who switched to Yorkshire tea from a cheaper brand believing they had made a meaningfully safer choice, you improved some things. You did not escape the plastic problem. The goodwill this brand has earned is real, but goodwill is not a test result. Sliding in at number 5, Typhoo. Blue packaging, over a century of history, the taste that felt like home in millions of British kitchens since 1903. If you grew up in Britain, Typhoo was probably somewhere in that cupboard. That kind of recognition is not just brand awareness, it is emotional memory. And Typhoo has relied on that accumulated generational trust while the product underneath changed in ways loyal customers were never informed about. Typhoo has passed through multiple corporate ownership structures, and what survived each transition was the name, the packaging, and the goodwill built patiently across generations. What changed at each handover was the sourcing rigour, the quality standards, and the transparency about what actually enters those bags. Independent consumer testing has found multiple pesticide residues in Typhoo's conventional blends. Sourcing information is minimal. Unlike brands that at least gesture toward origin disclosure, Typhoo provides almost nothing about where their leaves originate, how they were grown, or whether any independent batch testing has been conducted. Their standard bags contain plastic, which means every cup delivers a combination of chemical residues from the leaves and microplastic particles from the bag. Both invisible, both accumulating silently over decades of daily cups. Many British consumers in their 60s and 70s have been drinking Typhoo since childhood. That is 5 or 6 decades of exposure to whatever has been inside those bags under each successive corporate ownership. The tea they trusted was quietly transformed around them. Nobody sent a letter, nobody announced the change. The product shifted beneath their loyalty. At number 4, Lipton Yellow Label. The yellow box at Tesco and Sainsbury's, owned by Unilever, the same corporation behind the brand sitting at number 1 on this list. Lipton is the world's best-selling tea brand by sheer volume. More bags produced and sold under this name than any other on earth. And that industrial scale is precisely what makes the health problem so serious. When profit margins are calculated across billions of units, every fraction of a penny saved per bag on sourcing compounds into enormous sums. Quality is always the first casualty of that calculation. In 2012, Greenpeace commissioned independent laboratory testing on Lipton tea sold across multiple markets. The results were categorical and devastating. Every single sample tested came back contaminated. Not some samples, not the majority, every single one. Between 3 and 17 different pesticide residues detected per bag depending on variety and market tested. Multiple chemicals found had been banned in various countries for use in food production. Lipton's premium pyramid bags add a second layer to the problem. Those distinctive bags are made from polypropylene. Research published by scientists at McGill University found that a single plastic tea bag brewed at normal temperature releases approximately 11.6 billion microplastic particles into the water, plus an additional 3.1 billion nanoplastics, particles small enough to penetrate cell membranes and accumulate in organ tissue. When you serve Lipton Pyramid bags to your family, you are serving them one of the most concentrated sources of dietary microplastics found anywhere in a British kitchen. Unilever issued a corporate statement after Greenpeace published their findings. Commitments were made. That was over a decade ago. Independent testing continued to find residues. Press releases do not fix the tea. They fix the headlines. Coming in at number 3, Tetley, the nation's cuppa. Round bags, warm marketing, a brand with roots in British kitchens going back to 1837. That depth of history creates the kind of trust that operates below conscious scrutiny. People do not question Tetley the way they might question something new. It has always been there. Tetley has understood that perfectly and relied on it without shame. In 2014, CBC Marketplace commissioned independent laboratory analysis of major tea brands. Tetley's results were among the most alarming in the entire study. 22 different pesticides identified in a single bag, not spread across their range, in one bag. 22 chemicals designed to kill insects, fungi and weeds combined together, steeping in your cup while the round bag bobs gently alongside your milk. Here is what British regulations fundamentally cannot protect you from. Authorities set safe limits for individual chemicals. They evaluate pesticide A in isolation. They establish a threshold for pesticide B. But no regulatory body has scientifically studied what occurs when 22 of those chemicals simultaneously enter the human body and are repeated 3 times daily across 30 years of habitual drinking. The interaction effects of combined pesticide exposure at those concentrations and frequencies remain scientifically uncharted. Your body is the study. Tetley, now owned by Tata Consumer Products, possesses every resource required to source cleaner tea. The decision has been made not to. For anyone drinking 3 cups of Tetley every day, that is 66 chemical exposures entering your body daily, multiplied across a decade. The nation's cuppa has a chemistry set concealed inside every innocent round bag. Hit subscribe so you catch every warning before you pour another cup. At number 2, Twinings, the royal warrant on every box. 300 years of heritage, established on the Strand in London in 1706. The gold lettering, the crown, the visual language that communicates refinement worthy of generations of discerning British taste. Twinings does not just sell tea, it sells the feeling of being the kind of person who drinks quality tea. And that feeling costs £6 to £8 a box. Independent laboratory analysis reveals a different reality. Tests of Twinings products found over 30 different pesticide residues across their range, more than any other brand examined today. The tea bearing a royal warrant contains more chemical contamination than the supermarket-owned brand tea at half the price. Among those pesticides were cypermethrin, a synthetic compound that attacks the central nervous system, chlorpyrifos, linked to developmental delays and reduced cognitive function in children exposed during critical growth periods, and imidacloprid, so catastrophically destructive to bee populations that the European Union banned it for outdoor agricultural use to prevent further ecological collapse. Banned to protect bees, present in tea sold to British families under a royal crest, Twinings. Every day, the range that the majority of British households actually purchase is sourced from the same industrial plantation network as every budget brand on this list. Same farms, same chemical application regimes, same absence of meaningful traceability. The difference between Twinings Everyday and a £1 supermarket tea is almost entirely in the box design, the heritage narrative, and the £5 you paid for a story rather than safer leaves. Their bags are also bleached to achieve that clean white appearance. The bleaching leaves chlorine compound residues that dissolve into your cup. Premium prices for chlorine byproducts in a box that makes everything feel dignified and British. 300 years of reputation deployed to sell you something that independent science says is among the most contaminated teas on British shelves. And at number 1, the brand that will cause the most discomfort of this entire investigation. PG Tips, Britain's best-selling tea, the Pyramids, the Chimps, the brand that more British households drink every single day than any other, Unilever's flagship tea product in the United Kingdom. The default choice, the one that just feels like what tea is. What Unilever has not placed prominently on that familiar box is the material composition of those distinctive pyramid bags. They are made from polypropylene. That is plastic. And the science of what happens when polypropylene meets boiling water is not theoretical or disputed. Researchers at McGill University measured precisely what occurs when plastic tea bags are brewed at normal temperatures. One polypropylene pyramid bag releases approximately 11.6 billion microplastic particles into a single cup of tea. 11 billion per cup, plus an additional 3.1 billion nanoplastics. Particles so minute they pass through biological membranes and have been identified in human blood samples, brain tissue samples, and in the placentas of unborn babies. These particles do not pass through the body cleanly. They accumulate in organs over time. 3 cups of PG tips daily from pyramid bags means your body receives 34 billion microplastic particles every single day. Every morning, every afternoon, every evening, year after year. The plastic is not the only concern. Independent testing of PG tips sourced from UK retail has found pesticide residues consistent with leaves sourced from large-scale industrial plantations where batch traceability does not meaningfully exist. You cannot discover which farm, which harvest, or which pesticide application cycle contributed to your particular morning cup. That information is not available because the supply chain was never designed to provide it. Unilever has made public commitments to transitioning PG tips toward plastic-free bags. Those commitments have been stated more than once. The pyramid bags on supermarket shelves continue to contain polypropylene. The gap between stated intentions and actual product change is filled with accumulated plastic in British bloodstreams. PG tips sits at number 1 on this list precisely because it is number 1 in the market. The most consumed, the most trusted, and therefore the most consequential. For seniors drinking 4 or 5 cups every single day from those pyramid bags, the daily accumulation of microplastic particles in organs not designed to process synthetic materials is the current reality of every morning kettle, not a future risk. Today, go and look in your kitchen cupboard right now. The tea that has structured your mornings, offered to guests, made automatically in moments of difficulty. The brand your parents used and their parents before them. The ritual you have never questioned because it felt like the safest possible choice. Now you know what was inside every cup they ever poured you. The industry has failed you. The regulatory systems that should have protected you were gamed by corporations whose compliance departments are larger and better resourced than the watchdog agencies they face. The marketing was sophisticated enough to make familiarity feel like a safety guarantee. But tea does not have to be this. 2 companies operating in Britain right now prove that clean tea is entirely possible. These are the brands that deserve the loyalty those others exploited. Safe Pick 2. Clipper Teas. Founded in 1984 in Beaminster, Dorset, Clipper began from one conviction. Tea should be genuinely good for the people drinking it and the people growing it. Nearly 4 decades later, that principle has survived intact without being sold or diluted. Clipper holds B Corp certification. Not a marketing badge, but an independently verified standard covering every dimension of how a business operates. Clipper is also Fair Trade certified and Soil Association Organic certified across their core range. Their bags are unbleached, no chlorine compounds, and Clipper has delivered on plastic-free bags across their range rather than simply announcing intentions. The tea inside is certified organic, meaning grown on certified farmland without synthetic pesticide application. Third-party laboratory testing confirms what the label says. Brew Clipper and the aroma is genuine. Clean, natural, nothing engineered. Available at Tesco, Sainsbury's, Waitrose and Holland & Barrett. It costs slightly more than the brands above, but those brands were never actually cheap. They were just sending your body the invoice instead of printing it on the receipt. Safe Pick 1. Pukka Herbs. Founded in Bristol in 2001 by herbalists who genuinely understood plants rather than marketers who understood logos. Pukka built their range on certified organic ingredients and a supply chain they are willing to discuss openly and in detail. Every Pukka product carries both USDA Organic and Soil Association Organic certification. Their bags are fully plastic-free, made from plant-based materials with no polypropylene whatsoever. No microplastics entering your cup. The supply chain is fully traceable. You can understand which farms grew their chamomile, where their ginger was harvested, how their herbs were processed. The level of transparency that Tetley and Twinings cannot offer because their sourcing structures were deliberately designed not to be examined. Pukka tests every ingredient for pesticide residues and has ended supplier relationships when those tests revealed contamination, rather than accepting it to protect a price point. They do it regardless. Available at Tesco, Boots, Holland and Barrett, and Waitrose across the UK. Typically £5 to £8 for 45 bags, which sounds like a premium until you understand what the cheaper alternative was actually delivering. And there you have it. 7 brands that have exploited the most trusted daily ritual in British life. PG Tips, 11 billion microplastics per cup from polypropylene pyramid bags. Britain's most consumed source of dietary plastic. Twinings, over 30 pesticide residues behind Royal Warrant branding and chlorine-bleached bags. Tetley, 22 chemicals in a single bag steeping alongside your morning milk. Lipton, every sample contaminated, every pyramid bag a microplastic delivery system. Typhoo, a corporate approximation wearing a century of working-class trust. Yorkshire Tea, plastic in the bag, good intentions moving too slowly. And supermarket own brand, the lowest grade leaves grown under the heaviest chemical load, sold to the people who can least afford the long-term health consequence. Go to your kitchen right now, open the cupboard, read what is there differently today than you did yesterday. If any brand from this countdown is staring back at you, do not finish the box. Do not use up the remaining bags to save the pennies. Replace them with Clipper or Pukka. Your next cup should actually be safe. Drop a comment with the brand you are switching away from today. Hit like if this changed how you will shop tomorrow. Subscribe so you never miss another investigation like this one. More food industry exposés are on the way. Thank you for watching. Stay sharp, read every label, and make your next cup count.